we have prepared a really intense session for you guys, and we know that you're very excited to hear more like trends about the trade fairs. So we will have really brief introduction of COLEAD and our department, Market Insights, and a quick overview of the trade events participation we have been take part in this year. And then I will move on to my colleague Koen van der Hagen for the 10 trends that you shouldn't miss that we collected from different fairs. And lastly, if you are interested in participation in 2024 for any type of trade fairs, we have a little section for you to show you like the different type of support we can provide for you. All right, let's get it started. So quick introduction of COLEAD, the organization. So Committee Linking Entrepreneurship Agriculture Development. That's our new name since the beginning of the year, and we just celebrated the 50th anniversary of the organization. We are a private sector nonprofit association with more than 500 members from over like 49 countries. And we try to become the link between the private and public sectors by providing and developing the tools, the knowledge, the information, the expertise from horticulture, but nowadays we're also expanded our knowledge, our scope of activities into agri-food by different type of programs that we're implementing in different countries. And we are also trying to expand our knowledge to be shared into more regional and domestic markets and more processed food. And that's, we will share more during the trends presentation. And moving on to the next slides. And as I was saying, COLEAD has been developing different resources and tools through different platforms. That includes the online library regarding technical guides, trade fair guides as well. E-learning platform where we have business and management training, as well as collective training on how to participate in trade fair. Data analytic page on our official website where you can see the evolution of trade production and more different types of data for different value chains. Regulations, we have been closely monitoring the different EU regulations and standards, and we'll try to translate it for our partners. Self-assessment tools, it's a tool that COLEAD has developed to really improve the sustainable practices and eventually to contribute to the SDGs from the company level. And today is our main focus on the news and the events because we're talking about the trade fairs we have participated in 2023, and we are sharing the insights with everyone who's listening to this webinar. And lastly, we also have a really broad network of different stakeholders along the value chain that we try to group everyone together to share the knowledge, to exchange, and also to create a collective impact in the industry. And so on the operational level, how does it work at COLEAD? We try to adopt a holistic approach by having 3 pillars of services. And you can see today the webinar is organized by Market Insights, and we're part of the first pillar of facilitating market access. Together with Market Insights, we also have research and innovation brokerage, which and regulation and standards. Once we ensure and facilitate the market insights, we are also dedicating a lot of efforts on the field to strengthen the value chain from technical assistance and also vocational trainings. And lastly, we are also trying to leverage our impact through partnerships and through access to finance projects on a more of policy level and more on the European level. And so what about market insights? So in general, we're the ones who's trying to translate the data, quantitative data, qualitative data, as you name it, into actionable insights that can directly or indirectly facilitate your business decision-making. So we have been monitoring data from production, from the trade, from logistics, but also from the consumer's perspectives and from a price and competition perspectives. By collecting all this information, we try to translate it, all of these into different formats that includes but not limited to online dashboard, as I was mentioning, the data analytic page on our website, news monitoring in through newsletters, social media, but also through the current webinar formats. We also produce a lot of different market publications, market data studies, sector studies, market profiles. We have published sector studies on mango, and avocado is coming up soon as well. If you would like, if you're interested in checking them out, these are all featured on our e-library. Last but not least, we also provide business advisory services for companies who would like to have more customized support. This is really on demand, demand driven. And if you're interested, feel free to drop us an email after this webinar. All right, moving on to, so that's basically a wrap up of COLEAD and Market Insights introduction. Moving on to the main topics about the trade events that we have participated in 2023. So we have, it's 2023, it was very exciting for us in terms of our trade events participation, as we participated in over 20 different events from a European level, from African level, but also in other different regions of the world. And we try to not only participating in international fairs, but also trying to go to visit more and more on the regional and domestic levels that aligns with our vision in the coming years. We, apart from different trade fairs, large trade fairs like Fruit Logistica, like Fruit Attraction in Madrid, MacFruit in Italy. We also attended like regional fairs in Saha in Côte d'Ivoire, also local fairs in Zimbabwe, in Africa, in Kenya, sorry, also Agri Middle East in the United Arab Emirates. Apart from those trade fairs, focused on fresh produce, we also participated in trade fairs that focused on seafood, meat, and flowers in this value chain. We also participated in Biofach, which is a really organic focused trade fair. Apart from the trade fairs, we have also participated in different innovative technology conferences, like like happened last month. So that's the overview of our trade fair participation and trade events in general in 2023. Now I'm gonna hand over to my colleague for the 10 trends you shouldn't miss. So Kun, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Wei Ting, for this introduction. And now I will take you through a selection of insights we want to share with you, gathered from our participation to different trade fairs, and of course, not only us, but also our colleagues. So we have today 10 trends or 10 insights we want to share with you. But actually it will be 11, because we will be starting with a bit of a global overview. And then we move into separate trends. For example, we will discuss 2 insights from Africa, one on market dynamics and processing, one on market access and logistics. And then we will move to the European and UK market, where we will look at consumer trends and things like packaging. And then after that, we will go to the Middle East, and we will see how it is a promising destination for ACP exporters. After that, we will discuss Latin America, which we will focus a bit more on the competition of Latin American exports with ACP exports. On trend 7, we will look at Asia as a destination market. And then finally, we will focus on the organic market, so discussing supply, demand, and volume and value trends. And we will close with a focus on banana as an opportunity for Africa. So let's start with Africa. Oh, the global overview first, I mean. So in general, in 2023, we see challenges and opportunities for the agri-food sector. Of course, as you all remember, there were the increasing production costs and operation costs. There was a COVID-19 crisis that had still an impact. All of this caused that, costs were increasing for producers and exporters. But on the other hand, the same factors are causing inflation in destination markets, such as in the EU, we had a lot of inflation the last year. And this means that while the costs for production are increasing, the cost of the buyers, the money available for the buyers is actually decreasing. So people want to spend less money on food, but the prices are increasing of food. So this causes a tension with retailers not willing to increase their prices, but producers and exporters facing higher prices. So the margins are always becoming narrower. That's something we see happening. And this also has some effects. For example, importers try to avoid risks because they have narrower margins of profit. They prefer established origins. They prefer to avoid risk and explore new origins for their products. And also there is a higher competition in general on prices. So producers are forced to look at more cost-effective ways of producing. Maybe they are forced to change or to look at new markets, maybe exploring more local and regional markets that can offer better prices than international markets, and so on. So we will come back to that in the next trends. It will all come back. And then besides the cost, we also have the effect of climate change that is everywhere a bit present. And these events force actually a fast transition to more resilient agricultural practices. And it's not only the climate, it's also on the consumer side, there is an increasing demand for sustainable production and sustainable food with this climate change in mind, of course. So this leads that innovations in cultivation and farming practices are becoming essential. And then lastly, we have the shift in global trade dynamics. So all these events, these geopolitical tensions are causing shifts in global trades. And this can become challenges, but also opportunities, because for example, if Latin America has, due to climate events, problems to ship to Europe, it can create a window of opportunity for others, such as West Africa, to fill the gaps in the market. So both challenges and opportunities at the global level. So let's look in detail for Africa. Our first trend we want to show is a shift in trade dynamics, in market dynamics. So with the local and regional markets growing in importance, and secondly, the large increase of local processing and the increasing diversity of products. So we see an increasing opportunity in the local and regional markets because of the huge population growth, the urbanization, the growing middle class, the increasing presence of premium retailers, also supermarkets in Africa. So yeah, as I said, sometimes local and regional markets offer better prices than international or overseas markets. So it's definitely something going on. The demand is there. Regarding processing, we see a lot of attention on the trade fairs on processed products. Everybody's interested into processing their products. And the idea is actually that, yeah, fresh has a good value, but a low volume and a high risk. So if you consider, for example, tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, you can sell them at $500 per ton, but chopped tomatoes, you can only sell. Somebody has to be muted, sorry. Yeah, I will wait a moment so we mute. Okay, so chopped tomatoes, $200 per ton, and tomato paste only $150 per ton. So you see, okay, the value per weight is lower, but the market is more secure. So you can have much bigger volumes in processed. The shelf life is longer, the risk is lower. So that is what we have to consider. And in Ivory Coast, where I was a couple of weeks ago on the SARA 2023 market, the trade fair, I saw really a surge in processing, local processing. There is a lot of juice production, transforming cashew nuts, drying of mango and bananas. And I also learned that there is still untapped potential. For example, there is a lot of banana production, and sometimes there is not enough markets for the banana, so maybe the banana could be transformed into pulp, and there is a demand for that. So there is still opportunities like that to explore. The processed products also reduce the reliance on imports of these products, so that's another interesting thing. And I also learned that, for example, EU buyers are sometimes interested to bring processing closer to the source of their raw materials. So, such as here on the slide, you have the picture of the juices of Sebon that are produced in Ivory Coast itself. So it reduces the cost for the seller in Europe to have the production closer to the source and to only export the ready product. Processing also leads to more innovative products and diverse products, such as you can see the frozen cassava chips or banana chips there on the other side. So yeah, we see a lot of new products coming up and a lot of movement towards processing. Secondly, we have a shift in market access. E-commerce, and then we have the shift to sea freight, and we have the effect of Brexit. So regarding the e-commerce, we have again a fast evolution in the ACP countries. I noticed it myself in West Africa. You know, the services such as Uber, Yango for transport are developing very, very fast, but also like home deliveries of food. It's very common in the big cities. And I think the same is going to happen slowly for fresh produce, e-commerce of fresh produce. We already noticed some startups in Ivory Coast, such as Aftermarket, who is offering an online platform where people can buy their fresh fruits and vegetables, and then they are delivered at home. And I learned about Benjamina Farms, for example, in Ghana, that has like a student vendors program where you can order juices online, and with a GPS location, they're delivered at home, and so on. So I think this is something that is happening and will keep increasing. And the impact is that you will have access to a broader and more diverse consumer market, consumer base, and yeah, it creates opportunities for innovation and entrepreneurship in the agricultural sector. And even more, these platforms not only offer opportunities for the commerce, but also, for example, for producers to buy their inputs or to receive information on market prices, etc. So it's quite interesting to see these platforms developing. And then regarding the export strategies, we see in general the transition from air freight to sea freight or other freight options, because consumers are very conscious about carbon footprints of their products, and it has quite a negative image of air freight. So in Ethiopia, for example, we have the 2C project that we learned about, and it's an example of how, you know, they can adapt to these changes and how they can shift from air freight to sea freight, and it can help them to cut costs, but also to move towards a sustainable export model. And we see it all over the continent, the same trend of this move towards sustainability, also when it comes to logistics. And we will come back to that when we talk about the EU market. And Brexit also created some opportunities for Africa, because the UK is now looking for new importers, new exporters beyond Europe, and making deals with African countries. So it can be opportunities for East Africa, for example, Kenya, Tanzania. But there are also the same challenges of air freight that need to be solved. So yeah, these are some insights we got regarding Africa. Then when we think of the European Union and UK, I will first talk a bit about what we see on the consumer side. So yeah, the same trends that we have already noticed in the past. First of all, we have this trend of healthy food, and with the COVID crisis, it became even stronger. People are very aware of their health. They want products that are fresh, without too much, like organic products, you know, without too much pesticide residues and all of that, but also products that really improve their own health, such as superfruits, berries, things with antioxidants, that lower pressure, cholesterol, whatever, all these type of beneficial effects of that fruits can offer. It has to be convenient, so we want things that are ready to eat, that we can grab on the go, that are healthy and tasty. So this can be an opportunity, for example, for dried fruit or fresh cut fruits. And then we have a bit of a contradiction, because people want to reduce their footprint. They prefer local food, but on the other hand, there is still an interest in exotic foods, because we want also to have all year round availability of all sorts of fruits and vegetables, and we are still interested to discover new taste and flavors. So this is a bit the tension between local and tropical food. And lastly, sustainability is all over, is always an important aspect. We want sustainability in the production, but we also want socially sustainable products. So things as the living wages are receiving more and more importance. We want not only products that are fair and sustainable for the environment, but we also want to be sure that people producing these products receive honest prices and so on. And this also links to traceability. We want to know where our products come from. We want to have an overview of the whole chain, you know, from which field it was produced to how it arrives to our shop. So all of these are ongoing trends for the consumers in Europe. But there is another contradiction, that is that we have, with the inflation, we have less and less disposable income. So we want sustainable products, we want healthy products, we want all that, but we don't want to spend more money on it. So this is a bit a challenge, because the premiums people are willing to pay for products that are certified or that have sustainability labels are always less and less. So this is a challenge. It becomes very difficult for producers to reach all these requests of sustainability without having a lot of extra value for their products. And these are just some pictures that we took at the trade fairs to show you some examples of the trends I show. So regarding new tastes and flavors, what I noticed, for example, was this type of ready-made mixes of flowers, edible flowers. But we have also this type of healthy snacks like the fruit leather rolls that you can give to kids for school as a snack. Or these immunity balls, they call them. So these are like juices you can drink as a snack with a lot of healthy fruits inside. There are ready to eat things. And something I saw on a trade fair was this machine where you can, this is installed in supermarkets. And so you can buy fresh pineapples, put it in the machine, and it's automatically peeled and sliced and put in a recipient. And so it becomes ready to eat right in a few minutes. It's ready. Quite fascinating. And there were also this type of fresh cuts vegetables, and to eat like that, or to make sangria, for example. This is a sangria mix, fresh cut fruits for sangria. And yeah, the idea is also always to have these super fruits with less sugar and also less alcohol, for example. This is the down, you have the alcohol-free spirits that we noticed a lot, based with ginger, for example. So it's also, people are aware of their health. They don't want alcohol anymore. They want to have something tasty and very healthy in the meantime. So these are all things we saw. Then the second big trend for the European and UK market is the packaging. This is a very big topic, and will probably have an impact on the exports to Europe as well. So we see a shift towards sustainable packaging materials such as cellulose, seaweed, and other eco-friendly bioplastics. Also a lot of paper-based packaging gaining traction, and even products without packaging, so selling in bulk, and even without plastic sticker labels. Instead, they use laser markings to write directly on the vegetables or on the coconuts. And it's not just about compliance with the regulations, but it's also, meeting the consumer desire for sustainability. So, and in Europe now, just in November, 22 November, the Parliament adopted a position on packaging, on the packaging directive, the PPWD, and that indicates the EU's commitment towards recyclability and reuse, and it sets overall targets of reducing packaging waste. For example, packaging waste in general should be reduced by 5% by 2030, 10% by 2035, and 15% by 2040. And there are also specific goals regarding plastics for packaging, and they should reduce by 10% by 2030, 15% by 2035, and 20% by 2040. So this will all have an effect also on the trade in fruit and vegetables. But if you want to know more about, I would recommend to get in touch with our team that is leading the Agriinfo project, and they are following up all these regulations and how they impact the sector. Then we have logistics also in Europe affecting a lot. There is a general aversion against air freight, so much even that some supermarket chains such as Aldi in Switzerland and Albert Heijn in the Netherlands are saying completely no to any air freighted fresh fruits and vegetables. So yeah, this is a challenge, especially for ACP countries that they rely a lot on air freight for perishable goods. So it's a bit a delicate balance between environmental responsibility and economic viability. And with COLEAD, we try to support the sector, and we created the Fair Miles initiative, together with the private sector, academia, and other international organizations, to argue about the need of air freight for SMEs and small-scale growers to deliver high quality and high value fresh produce to the EU consumers with a low carbon footprint. So we can think of using passenger flights, belly carriers, that maybe contribute less to the global greenhouse gas emissions, and still have this very high social impact of the production in the south. So yeah, this is, you can check out this initiative. So yeah, we will need adjustments in strategies and logistic methods. A good news is that sea freight became a little bit less expensive in the second half of this year. So at least there are maybe options for some products. And also this the geographical proximity of Africa, for example, to the EU can become a strong advantage if we look at these footprints in transport. You know, the distances are less, but maybe there are also alternatives such as trucking for some countries in West and North Africa to the EU. So every challenge can also bring opportunities. Regarding the Middle East, we see growing opportunities for especially for East Africa, but maybe other African countries as well. In general, the Middle East wants the same level of quality and product offer as the US or the EU market. So they are looking at all year round availability of high quality fresh products. Up to now, there were less stringent regulations, which made it sometimes attractive as a market, but also they want really to go to high quality products and the same level of standards as the other markets. But we see opportunities because they are really opening up. They are creating a lot of infrastructure, such as, for example, the Abu Dhabi Food Hub that is being built between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and that really will become a huge fresh market, a wholesale market, and that will channel products from the world, but especially from Africa, to all those Middle East countries, and they are building high tech ripening facilities and so on, so to really increase the quality of the products. So yeah, there is still a potential there for exports. Latin America, here we look more a bit from a competition perspective. So yeah, Latin America is still a very big provider of fresh fruit and vegetables to Europe, and they have still increased their exports from many countries, especially during the COVID period, where we saw a lot of consumption of fruit and vegetables. We also see that the governments of these countries are very well organized to promote their products and to boost to promote on the European markets. But we see that they are also affected a lot by weather-related disruptions, climate change effects in production, but also logistics. We observed significant growth in avocado and lime exports, but also diversification into melons, mangoes, grapes, apples. On the trade fairs, we saw some new products that they were promoting. For example, another variety of mango that was promoted, the Mignolo mango, and a lot of promotion for the dragon fruit, the pitaya, both fresh and processed into like powder for making smoothies and things like that, and other products such as avocado syrup, agave syrup, sorry. So yeah, there is a competition. But there are also opportunities because climate change can affect Latin America, and African exporters might profit from this to grab the window of opportunity there. For Asia, we see a lot of opportunities in Asia. For example, China is expected to become one of the world's main avocado consumers. So this is a massive opportunity for the African avocado industry to expand in production and exports to Asia. We see that also South Africa is increasing trade to Asia, mainly citrus and grapes, to India, China, Southeast Asia. Zimbabwe is also doing its first citrus shipments to China. So yeah, it's still a growing market. And also in Asia, you have this trend of health, which is the new wealth. Consumers are seeking for fruit and food that is not just nutritious, but also convenient. So a bit the same trends as Europe, convenient, healthy. Yeah, so an enormous potential in general for Asia. When we look at organic, we see that the increase in supply, well, especially for Europe, is not always followed by the demand. So from 2017 onwards, we have seen a huge surge in organic conversion and organic production. And we have the impression that now the market is getting a bit saturated with organic products. So we see that up to 2021, volumes have increased a lot in the world, but now 2022, 2023, we see a bit of a correction of the growth. And yeah, there is the value of sales to Europe actually has reduced, but is still, the growing trend still follows the pre-COVID period. So we still have an increase in value, but in volume, on the other hand, we see a reduction, and that's quite yeah, worrying. So yeah, the increase in value is actually only due to the food inflation. So it's not because more volumes are sold, it's just because prices have increased a lot. And we noticed that the profit ranges for organic companies shrunk a lot. So if we look at 2020, they were 2.7%, and in 2022 they were 0.1%, the actual profit margin. But the good news is that we expect a little bit a rebounding of the EU demand in organics, since from the second semester onwards of this year, we see that the inflation has stabilized and reduced a bit. So maybe people are again willing to spend a bit more of their money on food and buy more organic products. So this is about organic. And lastly, we want to focus a moment on banana because that was also quite interesting. We see a window of opportunities for African bananas. When I was in Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, I noticed that there was a lot of expansion of banana production. And it's mainly the geographical vicinity to Europe that can be an advantage compared to Latin America, because it gives less costs in terms of logistics, but also less emissions and a positive environmental effect. And we see that banana is also interesting because whenever the banana chain develops in a country, we see it works also as a catalyzer for other fresh products that need a cold chain to be exported. So wherever banana arrives, the big production arrives, we see that it facilitates exports of other products because of better infrastructure, the cold chain that is developed, shipping possibilities, and so on. In West Africa, we also have a lot of land that is still available for expansion of production. And we see not only a a market opportunity in Europe, but we also see a growing regional demand and also the demand from the Middle East. So that's maybe for East Africa interesting. So yeah, there are definitely opportunities for more banana cultivation in Africa. But on the other hand, there are some risks. Africa is still very dependent on the EU tax exemptions for their banana exports to compete with Latin America on the prices. Also, consumers and retailers are resistant. You know, the prices for banana are very low, even for certified bananas, which makes it hard to really cover the extra production costs with the extra price for certified bananas. And we heard about the lack of expertise in the sector. So there is really a lack of very well-trained people in the sector locally to manage the production, to manage the cold chain and the ripening. That's maybe more in Middle East, you know, to have the proper ripening, but also for the regional and domestic markets. So there is still infrastructure and expertise missing to deliver the good quality. Yeah, so that's the last trend. So I will give the word back to Wei Ting for people interested in participating in trade fairs in 2024.
All right, thanks a lot, Kun. I know we have taken a little bit longer than we expected, but I hope all the insights you find it may be like helpful for your business. And if you are interested in participation in 2024, and if you would like to be benefited from COLEAD support, we would like to propose like different type of services that we can offer for you. If you move on to the next slides, please. So the typical journey for getting support from COLEAD is to apply for support from our website, from having discussions at trade fairs or other events. We're doing the field event when our colleagues from technical assistants are visiting working on the mission. And after your application, we will conduct analysis based on your needs, on your priorities. We will design different types of development plan. That includes 3 types of development plan, for instance, independent learning project, standard support, and also tailor-made, last but not least, tailor-made project. And by accessing the independent learning project, you will be able to access all the resources and tools, the network that we were mentioning at the beginning. And I will show you later in when we are presenting the next page. Similar goes to standard support. You will have the access to not only the open sources, but also some collective trainings that our training departments organize, including the one on the topic of how to participate in trade fairs. We organize it twice per year. We will share more information on that. And lastly, we also provide tailor-made projects tailored to what you need and based on the organization capacity level. And that includes all the services we have mentioned, plus a tailor-made coaching or technical assistance support. And for the open sources and tools that we have developed, if we move on to the next slide. The one previous, actually. As we mentioned, we have different types of resources, the online library, the e-learning platform, the data analytic page. But the most important related to trade fair, I would say, is the e-library and the online learning platform, where we have in the e-library, for instance, we have produced in the past a different type of guides to participate in the trade fairs, including a generic one, but also tailored to specific trade fairs, as you can see in the next page. And at the same time, for e-learning platform, we have prepared collective training, as I just mentioned, on how to prepare for trade fairs. We organize it twice per year, once in English. Actually, like for each time we organize it once in English and once in French. So that means 4 sessions per year usually. And it's usually in January and September. We will be sharing you the registration form for the next session if you're interested in participating it, together with the slides and the recording. And so, and if you are wishing for like more customized, more tailor-made support, I would suggest you submit application for support, and our TA colleagues will conduct analysis of the company and then reach out to you to see if it's eligible for our support, and also how we can best support you. I've seen like some also TA colleagues like joining us in the session. So during the Q&A session, maybe we can share a little bit if there are any questions related to the trade fair participation. All right, so that's basically a wrap up of our support for your participation and trade fairs, and we will moving on to a Q&A session. And if you have more questions, of course, don't hesitate to contact our email address right in here. And once again, the email, the presentation slides, this webinar recording, and all the potential useful resources will be gathered together in the email and will be shared to all the participants of this webinar. So don't worry if you missed the beginning of the webinar or anything. And if you have any questions, you can raise your hand, you can type in the chat, and we're happy to answer it.
Okay, so maybe I will start with reading some comments we got during the presentation. For example, Junior Dinda, he said that in the long run, certified products will become very expensive and consumers will no longer be willing to pay the desired price, making their demand reduced, which will reduce supply and then increase the production of conventional products. I see that happening soon. That's one point of view, and yeah, we saw it a bit also with organic products during the trade fairs. Yeah, the people are, especially with the inflation on in Europe, we are considering very carefully our expenses in food products. So sometimes indeed people choose more for conventional products instead of certified products just because of the price. But on the other hand, I think there is still a large group of people that really don't want to come to how we say to reduce their beliefs and to reduce on their will to have a positive impact on the planet and the climate, so that will still keep spending that little extra for having a sustainable product. So I wouldn't be too pessimistic on that.
And as we mentioned earlier, in the trends, we also see an emerging local and regional organic market for organic producers. So that could also be an opportunity for organic producers in Africa to grasp in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. Indeed, that's something I forgot to mention on the presentation. But we see, for example, the PGS, the organic schemes, not certified by a third party, but local organic schemes that are popping up all over East and West Africa, but also in Latin America, and people are more and more aware of residues on their fruit and vegetables, and they are looking for organic alternatives. So the in general organic market could still grow. Yeah. So another comment we got from Ghana is that they are in the production of potatoes and vegetables, and they are looking for market and partners. How can COLEAD assist? So indeed, we can assist you, and if you are not yet a member, we would say apply for support via our website and contact COLEAD through the email address that is mentioned here, for example, on the slide. And with more detailed information on the type of products and the markets you are looking for, we can do our best to support you and to bring you in contact with the right importers, maybe.
Regarding this specific question, I've seen our colleagues has also responded with the regional manager of the responsible manager for this for the country. So don't hesitate to reach out to us and submit your application.
All right. I don't see other questions. Maybe if you want, you can ask it directly by raising your hand in Zoom.
I see a question now. How COLEAD Market Insights will support the e-commerce initiative? This will cater even more for online ordering and payment solutions. Indeed, this is something we didn't really mention during at the beginning of the fair. It's also at COLEAD, we're trying to explore more and more digital solutions and innovative solutions for trade and international trade, but also like regional and local trade. And so this is something we're closely monitoring, and we hope we'll be able to share more information with you like in the upcoming month. And if you have more specific questions regarding e-commerce, don't hesitate to contact us through the email address we listed here on this page right now. And thanks a lot for the question. It's very interesting. Like e-commerce is also one of the trends we mentioned it in the slides. All right, I think time is running up, and once again, thanks for everyone's participation and your active engagement in the chat and in the discussion. We appreciate a lot for your time and for your interest in COLEAD's activities, events, and projects. We look forward to seeing you more often in the upcoming webinars for next years.